What is up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video, and today I want to talk about Ryan Clark of the Pivot Podcast. You all know I'm a very big fan of the emergence of black male media, with a lot of these sports guys pivoting into media, not necessarily being beholden to ESPN and the major networks, but able to be themselves. So Ryan Clark, 44 years old, former Pittsburgh Steelers player as a safety, known for hitting hard, one of the hardest hitters to ever do it. So shout out to him. Been retired since 2014, and he basically has been an ESPN an analyst for a variety of other places, but overall he has started the Pivot Podcast for a while with Channing Crowder and another NFL player. They actually spun off of I Am Athletes. So basically, why we're talking about him today is he had a conversation I'm going to play in a little bit. And now here's the thing. Ryan Clark is 44 years old. He is in what I call that bleeding edge millennial and Xer. I am very confident he would consider himself a Gen Xer, and I will believe him. And like Gen Xers, he has this ultra macho, old school, old fashioned way of doing things. And generally, I'm a traditionalist, and so that's not going to be a problem. But there are certain situations where it can be problematic, and this is going to be one of them. So I'm going to play this little video of what he has to say about marriage and complaining about, what happens in marriage when it comes to men. And, well, here we go.
You know what I do not like? Like Ariana Grande just got divorced, right? She got to pay her ex-husband $1.2 million. You ain't sing a note. Mary J. Blige had to pay her husband. Adele had to pay her husband.
No.
Bro, I don't believe. Unless they tell you, unless you become a house husband, right? Or some sort of stay-at-home dad, them women don't owe you no money.
What?
Now, as you can see, he's talking about complaining about men getting, men getting any kind of payout or getting significant payouts. He mentions Adele. He mentions Mary J. Blige. Some of these situations are very circumstantial, particularly with Mary J. Blige. The thing about Mary J. Blige is Mary J. Blige's husband was an actual manager, was her manager for a while. So this is not just a situation where they're just getting divorced. They're actually that's no longer going to be the case. So in his situation, he's probably using marriage and the divorce settlement as a way of getting an overall business payout that he thinks he's owed. So he is not somebody that's just sitting there, making sure the refrigerator's open. He may not be shooting the shots in the gym or singing the songs, but he is creating the infrastructure by which how Mary J. Blige in particular can run her business. And Mary J. Blige has a pretty independent operation that is under a major label. So this is not just something where he's just there to be there. So that situation isn't even valid, but I guess he's mentioning to people that he knows, like, notable divorces. Notice, I'm curious, he didn't mention like Halle Berry. I noticed Halle Berry. He did also mention Adele, and the situation with Adele is they really didn't have a prenuptial agreement. This is also in Europe, which is going to be looked at, I'm sure, very differently. Europe is much more socialist than the United States is. However, the other guy, I believe it's Crowder, did a very good job. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Them women don't owe you no money. All these people who they were when you met them.
I see. You supported them through their career.
But you didn't support them.
You did supported them through their
That
career.
man
I'm
ain't do
speaking from the
nothing for
athlete side.
Adele.
No, why Ariana Grande was out there singing and touring. He was at home. He was making sure the pool man came. He making sure the lawn man came. He's making sure the groceries are in the refrigerator. He's making sure the kids get to school on time. He is supporting life while she is performing and working the world. He sacrificed his life so she could go sing songs on stage.
And that's what you call a FTS.
Shooting in the gym. It's both
Flip
ways, RC.
the script.
Yep. He was helping, supporting her at home while she was working on the road.
I'm disgusted with both of you.
No,
That's what it is.
I don't agree with it.
I
don't agree with it.
I agree with it. No, because it got to go both ways. Because if the woman gets alimony, if the rich man gives the woman alimony and child support and all that, the rich woman should give the man alimony, child support, and everything. It goes both ways.
Now, the other guy, I believe is Channing Crowder, did a very good job kind of countering it. And pay attention to how Ryan Clark is talking about how that's disgusting. My thing is, sir, we don't live in a patriarchy. The United States of America is really a de facto matriarchy. For those of y'all that think I'm playing, and that's not true. White men are at the top, and yeah, to a certain extent, especially if they have economics, I can understand that why people say that. But if you're talking about like the regular folks, like the 75% of folks, women essentially have more rights. Women have more voting power than men do because there's more of them. And the reality is, we already know when you get into the domain of the family courts, which by the way don't operate within the confines of the Constitution. A lot of people don't know that. We already know that the women are favored. It's same thing with divorce. I can, bring up plenty of guys such as Who You See and shout out to the lead attorney. This is gonna definitely showcase, what marriage is, why men don't invest in it. Even Cam has said that he is afraid of getting into marriage because he's afraid of what he can lose. And so this idea that you're going to have a situation where the women get to sit here and say they did all this stuff for a man, when we know good and well, when we look at it, divorces like, Jeff Bezos and heck, even Juanita Jordan. I mean, technically, Michael Jordan's mom is the one that negotiated that contract that he ended up getting with Nike. So she did a lot more for his business than his wife ever did. Granted, his wife bore his children, and that is to be said about something. We're not talking about nobody should get anything, but you're making this argument, and at first I thought Ryan was just setting it up, setting it up to make the argument that, well, it should be this way for women, so therefore it should be this way for men. And then when basically countered it, he's talking about, well, that's disgusting, which clearly shows you that he doesn't believe that. He believes it should be one way. That's very problematic. And the reason why I decided to do this video today is, guys, look, man, guys like him and that thought process, that is a problem. That is a problem, because you're the type of guy that's going to vote a certain type of way with these laws and vote these laws against men. And the thing as to why that's so short-sighted, the reason why that's so short-sighted is because, number one, we do all this stuff when it comes to our careers and our work for essentially the children that we have or the legacies that we want to leave. When you have to siphon half of that to a party that may have been there but is not mainly responsible of the economics, those people are usually going to basically, they're not going to maintain that money. And if you have kids, that's actually taken away from the kids. But guys like this are not farsighted enough to think that far ahead. I mean, thing about Ryan Clark has gotten Jonathan Owens in trouble. Ryan Clark is with the Simone Biles situation that he's still getting heat for. Jonathan Owens, he's gotten with his questioning. He's gotten Michael Porter Jr. in trouble with some of his questioning. And I know these things, he did take accountability for that. But ultimately, Ryan Clark really needs to, in my opinion, have some serious conversations with some folks that are really like 20 years younger than him, not even 10. Because the way he views things is very dated, and it's very weighted against men. And I don't think he really understands that. My solution to this situation is very simple. I think there should be a law that outlines producer rights. I understand where he's coming from when it comes to, well, what the women didn't do, even though one of the examples he made is really not even valid with Mary J. Blige, by the way. It is kind of valid with Adele, but Adele be all right. She's basically, engaged to, LeBron's guy. But ultimately, there needs to be producer rights where the part of the community property is the main driver of such community property, which is what the shared things are in marriage. That needs to be taken into consideration, and there needs to be rights for those guys, whether it's guys or women. Because you're right, women work more than they used to. Women have access to employment more used to. There's some women that do some really, really big things. But ultimately, and those rights should be protected. But you can't look at it. This is the one thing where you can't look at it from a gender perspective and then say, well, with men, it's okay for them to take all of that, and with women, it's not. If we're gonna play up, we just can't do that. And the fact that he even is of that opinion, that is very problematic to me. So let me know what you think. Let me know. Do you think I'm full of crap for my thought process? Do you think I have a point? Is this the first time you've ever heard Ryan Clark say some goofy stuff like this on the Pivot Podcast? How do you think Channing Crowder did when it comes to countering it? What do you think of my solution that we need to have a Bill of Rights for the main producer, economically producing party, especially with the, economy we're going into in the future with certain stuff go down? Let me know what you think. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and until the next time, peace.